Stop what you are doing right now. Whatever is in your hands, whatever thought was running through your mind before you clicked on this video, set it aside. Because what I am about to tell you was not meant for everyone. This message was not placed in front of your eyes by accident. The very fact that you are here, reading these words, watching this screen at this exact moment, that is not a coincidence. That is a confirmation. Heaven moved to get this to you. I want you to understand something before we go any further. There are millions of people on this earth right now. Millions of voices, millions of screens, millions of prayers rising like smoke into the sky. And yet, the angels were told to find you. Not the person next to you, not someone with a bigger platform or a louder prayer. You, the one who has been quietly carrying more than anyone around you even knows. Let me ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly in your heart. Have you felt this past month like you were being tested from every direction at once? Like the moment you handled one crisis, another one appeared. Like the pressure never let up. Not in your finances, not in your relationships, not in your mind. And there were nights you went to sleep wondering if you had the strength to face another day. And yet, here you are. That is what heaven noticed. That is what made the throne room grow quiet. I need you to understand what has been happening in the spiritual realm around your life. While you were fighting battles that no one else could see, while you were making choices that no one was applauding, while you were holding on by faith when every human reason said to let go, the angels of the Most High God were watching. Archangel Michael himself was standing guard. And the report that was delivered to the courts of heaven about you, about your endurance, your faith, your refusal to quit, that report caused something extraordinary to happen. Heaven said, I am impressed. Not 7 tests spread over 7 years. Not 7 challenges scattered across a decade of growth. 7 tests, 1 month. And you passed every single one. This video is the announcement. This is your moment of divine recognition. Stay with me, because by the time we finish walking through each of these 7 tests together, something is going to break open over your life. A door that has been sealed is about to swing wide. A blessing that has been held in reserve is about to be released. A season of supernatural favor is beginning, and it begins today. Type in the comments, I received this message. My dear son, I saw you in the fire, not from a distance, not from the comfort of a throne too far removed to understand what burning feels like. I saw you from inside it because I was there. Every moment that the heat rose, every moment that the smoke thickened and the ground beneath your feet felt like it was cracking open, I was standing in that fire with you. And I want you to know exactly what I saw. I saw someone who refused to let the fire have the last word. This was the first test, and it was not a small one. The test of fire is the test that breaks most people because it does not come gently. It does not knock on the door and wait for an invitation. It arrives like a crash, like a phone call that changes everything. Like a morning that starts normally and ends with your world rearranged in ways you didn't choose and couldn't control. You know what I'm talking about. You lived it. That moment, that specific moment when everything around you seemed to be falling apart at the same time, that was the beginning of the test. And here is what the angels reported. You did not run from it. Oh, you felt the fear. I know you did. I know there were moments when your chest tightened and your thoughts spiraled, and the voice of the enemy leaned in close and said, this is too much. This is the end. This is where you finally fall. I heard every whispered lie. I felt every wave of panic that moved through your body. I was aware of every sleepless hour, every prayer that felt like it hit the ceiling and came back unanswered. Every morning you woke up and had to make the decision, again, to keep going. And that decision, that quiet, stubborn, faithful decision to keep going, is what I call courage. The world does not always see it. Your neighbors do not give you a trophy for getting out of bed when your world is collapsing. Your co-workers don't applaud you for smiling through pain. Your family may not even fully understand the weight you have been carrying. But the angels see it. The heavenly hosts see it. And I see it every single time. I want to paint you a picture of what was happening in the spirit realm around you during this first test. While the fire was raging in the natural, while the circumstances looked their worst, something else was happening at the same time. Archangel Michael was deployed to your location, not as an observer, as a guardian. His wings were spread, his sword was drawn, and the forces that had come to use that fire to destroy you, to use that season of chaos, to push you permanently into despair, found themselves facing a wall they could not breach. They came to make the fire consuming. I came to make it refining. Because here is the truth about fire that most people don't understand until they're on the other side of it. Fire does not just destroy. Fire reveals. Fire burns away everything that was never supposed to stay. And when I looked at you in the middle of that fire, when I watched you fight through what most would have surrendered to, I saw something pure emerge. I saw faith that had been tested and found genuine. I saw a character that the heat could not melt. I saw a soul that was stronger than the circumstance trying to consume it. You came out of that fire. You are still standing. And the enemy who designed that test to break you, he watched you pass it. He watched the fire that was meant to be your end become the very thing that revealed what you are made of. And now he knows you cannot be taken down that way. The first test is behind you. You passed it. Heaven confirmed it. Place your right hand over your heart right now and declare out loud, I came through the fire and I am still standing. Say it again. Mean it, because it is true. The season of burning is over. What comes next is the season of being recognized for what survived. The gold that endured the fire is about to be displayed. The strength that was forged in that first test is about to become the very foundation upon which your next chapter is built. You were not consumed. You were prepared. And I am proud of you. My dear daughter, I need to tell you about the test that almost no one talks about, because it is the one that carries the deepest shame. You prayed, and the silence came back. You got on your knees, maybe literally, maybe in your car with the music off, maybe in the shower where no one could see you crying, and you poured out everything, every fear, every need, every hope. You prayed with everything in you, and then you waited. And the heaven you expected to open seemed to stay locked. The breakthrough you were believing for didn't come on the schedule you needed. The answer you were desperate for was not there when you reached for it. And in that silence, that long, aching, frightening silence, the enemy came to you with a question, a quiet, devastating question. What if he's not listening? That was the test of silence, and it is one of the most brutal tests I allow because it targets the most sacred thing, your trust in me. I need you to understand something, that the silence was never meant to communicate. The silence was not absence. I was not far away. I was not ignoring you. I was not withholding love or attention or care. I was doing something in the silence that I could not do while you were receiving constant, immediate, visible answers to every prayer. I was developing in you a faith that does not depend on feedback, a trust that does not require constant confirmation, a relationship with me that is rooted in who I am, not just in what I do for you. That is a deep work, and it cannot be done in noise. It can only be done in silence. While you were in that silence, listen carefully to what was happening. The angels around you were not idle. The prayers you prayed did not evaporate into empty air. Every single word you sent up in desperation, in tears, in whispered hope, every word landed. Every prayer was received. Every cry was heard. and in the courts of heaven, those prayers were being assembled into something, a response so complete, so layered, so carefully constructed for your specific life and needs, that it could not be rushed without being diminished. You prayed for a door. I was building you a mansion. You prayed for a breakthrough today. I was engineering a transformation that would sustain you for decades. You prayed for relief from the pressure. I was using the pressure to build in you a capacity to carry the blessings that are coming, because the person you were before, the silence, could not have held what I am about to pour out. The silence was not punishment. The silence was preparation. Archangel Michael stood at the threshold of your prayer life during that season and did something extraordinary. He held the line. While you felt alone, while the enemy was whispering that your prayers were bouncing off the ceiling, Michael and his armies were ensuring that every single one of those prayers reached its destination. Not one was lost. Not one was dismissed. Every prayer you prayed in that silent season is now a seed that has taken root, and the harvest from those seeds is coming. I want you to do something right now. I want you to think back to that season of silence, that period when heaven felt locked and your faith felt thin. I want you to revisit it not with shame, but with new eyes, because now you know the truth. Now you know that the silence was not rejection, it was refinement. The season that felt like I had forgotten you was actually the season when I was working most intensely on your behalf, beneath the surface, beyond what your natural eyes could see. Say this out loud right now. My prayers were never ignored. Heaven heard every word. The silence is over. The answer that was being built in the quiet is almost ready to arrive. Everything you prayed for in that season of waiting, I have been holding it, preparing it, timing it perfectly for this exact moment in your life. The silence was not the end of the story. It was the space where the miracle was being assembled. You passed the test of silence. You kept praying even when you couldn't feel me. That right there is extraordinary faith. And it did not go unnoticed. Type in the comments, I trust you even in the silence. My dear son, sit with me for a moment, because this chapter is the one that touches the deepest part of what you have been carrying. It came from someone close to you, not a stranger, not an enemy you could have seen coming from a distance, someone you trusted, someone you opened your life to, maybe your home, your heart, your plans, your dreams, someone who knew the real you, not the version you show the world, but the you that existed behind closed doors. And they used what they knew, or they walked away, or they said words that cut in places that still haven't fully healed, or they made choices that left you standing in the wreckage of something you thought was solid. Betrayal from a stranger stings. Betrayal from someone you loved, that is a wound of a different kind entirely. I saw it happen. I want you to know that I saw the exact moment it occurred, the moment the trust broke, the moment the relationship shifted, the moment you realized that something you had relied on was gone. I saw the expression on your face. I felt the shock move through you. And I want to tell you what Archangel Michael and his angels were doing in that exact moment while your heart was breaking. They were surrounding you. Not just standing nearby, surrounding you, forming a perimeter of divine protection around your spirit so that the wound, as deep as it was, would not reach the core of who you are. Because the enemy's plan with betrayal is never just the immediate pain. The enemy's plan is to use that pain to make you close, to make you build walls, to make you decide that trusting is too dangerous, that opening your heart is too costly, that vulnerability is too risky. The enemy wanted that betrayal to make you smaller, more guarded, more isolated, more alone, and you resisted it. You may have needed time. Healing is not weakness, and I did not expect you to be untouched by what happened. But even in the pain, even in the anger, and yes, I saw the anger, I understand it, I do not condemn you for it. Even in all of that, you did not close off completely. Somewhere deep inside you, the part of you that belongs to me held on to the belief that I am good, held on to the knowledge that one person's choice to hurt you does not define your value or your future, held on to the possibility of healing. That holding on, that is passing the test of betrayal. I need you to hear this clearly. The person who hurt you does not have the final word over your life. Their decision, whatever it was, however devastating, is not the last chapter. They do not get to author your ending. That is my role. And I'm writing something about you that the betrayal cannot erase. I am writing redemption. I am writing restoration. I am writing a future so full of genuine, loyal, heaven-sent relationships that the loss of that one will eventually become something you can speak about without the wound reopening. This is what I do with broken things. I do not discard them. I rebuild them, better, stronger, more beautiful than before. Place both hands open in front of you right now as an act of release and say, I release the hurt. I receive your healing, Lord. The person who wounded you was a test, not your destiny. You passed the test. You did not let the bitterness take root permanently. You did not let the wound become your identity. And because you passed this test, I am now free to bring into your life the kind of people, the loyal ones, the faithful ones, the ones who will love you the way you deserve to be loved, without the fear of more betrayal holding you back. The wound is closing. The scar that remains will become a testimony. You passed test number 3. My dear daughter, I watched you sit at that table. Maybe it was a kitchen table, maybe it was a desk, maybe it was the front seat of your car with your phone in your hand, staring at numbers on a screen that refused to cooperate no matter how many times you checked them. The bills were more than the balance. The need was greater than the supply, and there was that particular brand of fear, the one that lives in the stomach, the one that wakes you up at 3 in the morning, the fear of not having enough. In America, this fear has a specific weight to it because the pressure is constant and the expectations are real. The mortgage doesn't pause. The utilities don't care about your faith season. The car payment doesn't ask how your week is going. The grocery store doesn't give grace periods. And you were standing in the gap between what you needed and what you had, trying to figure out how to make the math work when the math simply didn't. That was the test of lack. And I want to walk you through exactly what I saw. First, I saw you resist shame. That may sound small, but it is not, because lack in the culture you live in carries shame with it. There is a voice in the world that says your financial situation is a measure of your worth, your intelligence, your faith. That voice is a lie, and I watched you fight it. I watched you hold your head up even when the numbers were low. I watched you continue to show up for your family, for your commitments, for your worship, even when the financial pressure was crushing. Second, I saw you give when it made no logical sense to give. Some of you reading this right now know exactly what I'm talking about. There was a moment, maybe more than one, when you gave out of your lack instead of your abundance, when you had very little and you still opened your hand. That act of generosity in the middle of your own shortage was not just kindness, it was warfare. It was an act of faith that declared to the spiritual realm, I believe in a God who provides. I will not hoard in fear. I trust the promise that what I give will be multiplied back to me, that giving was seen, that sacrifice was recorded, and it is about to be returned to you with interest that only heaven can calculate. I want to tell you what Archangel Michael was doing during your season of financial pressure. He was standing at the doors of provision, not to keep them locked, but to guard what was being prepared for you on the other side. Blessings don't just fall from the sky without order. They move through channels, through timing, through divine arrangement. And Michael was ensuring that the provision designed specifically for your life was not intercepted, was not misdirected, was not prematurely released before you were positioned to receive it fully. The provision is coming, not as a trickle, as an overflow. Say this out loud right now with conviction. My God supplies all my needs according to his riches in glory. Speak it over your bank account. Speak it over your household. Speak it over the bills on your counter and the balance on your screen. Because the numbers are about to change. Not because of luck, not because of coincidence. Because you passed the test of lack. You trusted me when trusting made no financial sense. You kept your integrity when cutting corners would have been easier. You refused to let poverty of spirit follow poverty of pocket. The season of lack is ending. The season of overflow is beginning. What has been held back is now being released. Watch what happens in the next 30 days. Type in the comments, I believe in God's supernatural provision. My dear son, I need to talk to you about the darkness that came for your mind. This test didn't look like a problem you could solve or a circumstance you could change. It came from the inside. It came as a thought, a sudden, gripping, irrational terror. Or maybe it came as a pattern, an anxious spiral that started small and grew until it was filling your nights and bleeding into your days. Maybe it came as a specific fear. Fear for your children. Fear about your health, fear about the future, fear about something happening to the people you love most. Whatever shape it took, it was real and it was targeted because the enemy is not random. He does not throw generic fears at generic people. He studies you. He looks for the thing you love most, your family, your health, your peace of mind. And he uses that knowledge to craft a fear specifically designed to paralyze you. He whispers your name in the night. He knows your pressure points, and the fear he sent against you this month was not accidental. It was a calculated attack designed to accomplish one thing, to stop you from moving forward. And yet, you moved forward. You were afraid, and you moved anyway. You felt the anxiety, and you still got up in the morning. You felt the dread, and you still prayed. You felt the darkness pressing in, and you still reached for the light. That is not the absence of fear. That is courage, the truest kind, because it does not require the absence of fear to function. Now let me tell you what was happening in the spirit realm while the enemy was whispering your name. The moment that fear was deployed against you, I deployed something in response. Not just comfort, though I sent comfort. Not just peace, though I sent peace. I deployed Archangel Michael and a company of warrior angels to form something specific around you, around your home, around your family. A wall of fire. Not a metaphor, a real, living, spiritual barrier, flames of divine protection burning so intensely in the spirit realm that the forces of darkness could not penetrate it. They could press against it, they could howl at it, but they could not get through it. You were protected, you are protected. That wall of fire has not moved. Every fear the enemy planted, every what-if that kept you up at night, every worst-case scenario that played on repeat in your mind. Those were arrows fired against a target that was surrounded by something the enemy couldn't see until it was too late. He attacked. The arrows hit the wall. They did not reach you. I want you to stand up right now, wherever you are, and speak this like you mean it. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I walk in divine protection. Speak it out loud. Speak it over your children. Speak it over your home. Speak it over your mind. Because fear is a liar, and the voice that whispered your name does not have authority over your life. I have authority over your life. And I have declared you protected, covered, guarded, sealed by the blood of the Lamb and the ministry of my angels. You passed the test of fear. Not because the fear disappeared immediately, but because you did not bow to it. You chose faith over fear, again and again, in the small daily choices no one else saw. And every time you made that choice, the wall around you grew stronger. The enemy lost ground. The darkness retreated. You are not a victim of fear. You are a victor over it. And heaven has recorded that victory with your name on it. My dear daughter, this is the chapter I need you to hear most carefully. Because of all the tests you faced this month, this one came closest to succeeding, and I need you to know how close the enemy came and why he still failed. He came for how you see yourself. He didn't just attack your circumstances. He attacked your sense of worth, your sense of belonging, your sense of being loved. He used the people around you, or the absence of people around you. He used comparison, the scrolling, the watching, the measuring of your life against the highlight reel of other people's lives. He used old words spoken over you long ago that somehow resurfaced with fresh sting. He used failure, real or perceived, to convince you that you were less than, behind, not enough. And there were moments, I know there were, when the whisper almost became a belief, when you looked in the mirror or sat alone or reviewed your life and a dark thought surfaced. What if I'm not special? What if I've been left behind? What if I'm not who I thought I was? That was the test of identity. And it is perhaps the most dangerous test I allow, because if the enemy can change how you see yourself, he can change how you live. If he can make you believe you are small, you will live small. If he can make you believe you are forgotten, you will stop reaching. If he can make you believe you are worthless, he can make you stop fighting. But here is what happened in heaven when the enemy launched that attack. I called your name, not as a distant declaration from a throne too far to matter. I leaned in close, the way I do, and I called your name. I spoke it over you. I reminded the heavenly host of who you are to me, and I want to repeat to you now, in this moment, what was declared over you in the courts of heaven, when the enemy tried to make you believe you were nothing. You are known. Every detail of who you are, every wound, every dream, every secret gift, every hidden strength, is known to me completely. Not as data, as love. I know you the way only a father can know a child. I know what you look like when you're at your best, and I know what you look like when you're falling apart, and I love you equally in both states. My love for you does not have a performance requirement. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to maintain it. You are loved because you are mine. You are written on my heart. When I look at the record of heaven, your name is not a footnote. You are not a background character in someone else's story. You are known, you are seen, you are valued at a level that no human affirmation can reach. Because I am the one who declared it, and my word does not return void. Place your hand on your face gently right now and say, I am known, I am loved. I have a purpose that cannot be stolen. The identity the enemy tried to erase is the very identity I am about to put on public display. The gifts he tried to bury through shame and comparison are the very gifts I am about to amplify. The voice that was nearly silenced is the very voice I am about to use to change the lives of people around you. You almost believed the lie, but you didn't. In the final moment, when the choice was between his version of you and my version of you, you chose mine. That is passing the test of identity. And the reward for passing this test is an unshakable sense of who you are that no circumstance, no person, no season of difficulty will ever be able to take from you again. Type in the comments, I know who I am in God. My dear son, we have arrived at the final test, and I need to tell you something before we go any further. This one was the hardest. Not because the circumstances were necessarily the worst of the 7, though they may have been. It was the hardest because of where it came in the sequence. By the time this test arrived, you had already been through fire. You had already endured silence. You had survived betrayal, pressed through lack, overcome fear, and resisted the lies about your identity. You had been running a marathon, and then, just when you thought you were approaching the finish line, The path turned uphill again. The test of endurance doesn't attack your strength, it attacks your remaining strength. It comes when the reserves are low, when the resilience you started with has been drawn down by everything that came before, when the faith that felt rock solid at the beginning of the month has been weathered and worn by 6 previous tests. When you look at yourself, genuinely, honestly look, and you think, I don't know if I have anything left. That moment, that specific, personal, exhausted moment was the 7th test. And the enemy knew exactly what he was doing when he sent it. Because a warrior who has won 6 consecutive battles and then faces a 7th has a choice to draw on something deeper than natural strength or to finally lay the sword down. That moment of choice is what this test was measuring. Not your energy, not your resources, not your perfect track record, just this. When everything in you says stop, what do? You kept going. I need you to understand the magnitude of that decision, because from heaven's perspective, the moment you chose to keep going, the moment you took the next step when every fiber of your being wanted to sit down and not get up, that moment was not quiet. That moment was announced. There was movement in the courts of heaven. The angels who had been watching your journey for 30 days, who had witnessed all 6 tests before this, they waited for this moment. And when you made your choice, when you decided to endure one more day, to pray one more prayer, to believe one more time, there was a response. Archangel Michael raised his sword, not in battle, in declaration. It is what the warrior angels do when a human being on earth demonstrates the kind of faith that shakes the spiritual realm. He raised it, and the declaration went out. This one has passed, all 7. In 1 month, release the overflow. That declaration is the reason this message reached you today. That declaration is the reason something is shifting in your atmosphere right now as you watch this. The 7th test, the test of endurance, is not just the final test. It is the key that unlocks everything the first 6 tests were building toward. I want you to understand what endurance produces that nothing else can produce. When you endure through fire, you prove your faith can handle heat. When you endure through silence, you prove your faith doesn't require constant feedback. When you endure through betrayal, you prove your faith is not dependent on people being perfect. When you endure through lack, you prove your faith is not conditional on comfort. When you endure through fear, you prove your faith is stronger than your feelings. When you endure through identity attacks, you prove your faith is rooted in who I say you are. And when you endure through all of that, when you endure through everything at once, in rapid succession, in a single month, you prove something that takes most people years, sometimes decades, to demonstrate. You prove that you are ready. Ready for the assignment, ready for the blessing, ready for the platform, ready for the open door, ready to walk into the season that all 7 tests were preparing you for. Because here is the truth about everything you have carried. It was never pointless. Not a single day of it. Every sleepless night, every tearful prayer, every moment you chose to keep going when giving up felt more reasonable, all of it was curriculum. All of it was preparation. All of it was the process by which I was making you into the person who is capable of carrying what I'm about to place in your hands. Stand up right now. Wherever you are, stand up and declare with everything in you, I endured. I passed. I am ready for what God has prepared for me. Say it with your whole chest, because it is true. You passed all 7 tests. And now, right now, the season changes. Type in the comments, I passed all 7 tests. I am ready. My beloved, we have walked through this together, and I need you to feel the full weight of what has just been declared over your life. Look at what you have come through. You walked through fire and were not consumed. You sat in silence and did not abandon your faith. You survived betrayal and did not let bitterness close your heart. You faced lack and did not let need become your identity. You stood against fear and did not bow to it. You resisted the lies about who you are and held on to the truth of how I see you. And when the final test came, when endurance was the only thing standing between you and breaking, you endured. 7 tests, 1 month, all passed. That is not ordinary. That is not what the average person in your position manages to do. And I want to be clear, this is not flattery. It is not empty spiritual encouragement designed to make you feel good for a moment before you go back to the same life. This is heaven's official assessment of your journey. You were tested, you were watched, you were evaluated, and the report is in. The verdict has been rendered, and the verdict is this: you are ready. The angels who were assigned to guard you through these tests have now received new orders. Their assignment is shifting. They were guarding you through the trials. Now they are opening the path before you. Michael himself is moving, and when Archangel Michael moves on your behalf, mountains shift, doors that were locked swing open, resources that were blocked begin to flow. People who carry your next blessing are being redirected towards you right now, in this moment, as this word goes out over your life. The blessing is not coming. The blessing is already in motion. Favor is moving ahead of you into every room you are about to walk into. Provision is being released into every area where you experienced lack. Healing, physical, emotional, relational, is flowing into every wound that the 7 tests left behind. Clarity is coming where confusion has lived. Peace is replacing the anxiety. And purpose, the deep, clear, unshakable sense of why you are here and what you are called to do, is landing in your spirit right now. This is your new season. It begins today, not tomorrow, not when the circumstances change. Today, because you already did the work. You already proved who you are. The tests are finished. The season of reward has begun. I love you. I am proud of you. And I am with you every step of the next chapter. If this message touched your heart today, I want you to do 3 things. First, be like this video right now. It is a small act of faith that declares, I receive this word for my life. Second, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. A family member, a friend, someone going through a hard season. You may be the reason they hold on for one more day. Don't keep this to yourself. Third, subscribe to this channel and turn on the bell notification. Because what I am releasing through this channel is not accidental. These messages are being sent to specific people at specific moments. If this one found you, the next one will too. And finally, watch the next video that is appearing on your screen right now. Because what comes next is connected to what was declared here today. Your journey is not over. It is just beginning. And the next message is already waiting for you. You passed all 7 tests. Now watch what heaven does next.